going on YouTube? This is Brownie B. Brown.
And this is Emily Landiego.
And we are your guest reviewers for this season 1 finale of the Royal Talk. Say that King Gabe and Queen Tina were telling you guys about. So now the mystery is solved, just like the movie we're about to talk about, Scooby Doo.
I'm really excited about reviewing this movie.
Yes, and surprisingly, I kind of am myself. Those of you who may possibly know me from Brownny Reactions probably didn't see a very good side of me for the movie there. So for this, we actually gave it a rewatch, sort of like some reviewers are doing on YouTube. A lot of times they will even double toast it. They'll rewatch some of the movies they reviewed in the past and have different thoughts on it. Like Corey even mentioned how he was a different person back then. So, yeah. Now there are still some things that I still hold true to, but we're gonna be a little bit a lot more merciful than the first attempt. So, one thing definitely want to let you guys know is, in those of you who haven't seen the movie or wanting to check it out again, make sure you check out the ultimate opening there. It's on YouTube. Matter of fact, King Gabe had actually uploaded it to the channel, so you can even see it right here on this channel. The opening that we didn't get for the Scooby Doo movie with the fully animated and everything. So yeah, make sure y'all check that out. Link will be in the description. You can check it out there, and as well as the movie itself to see what you think about it. Whether you're watching it for the first time or watching it again. So let's get into the official review of Scooby Doo 2002. So one thing there's definitely one thing at the beginning of the movie that's definitely a plus is it kind of reminds you of the Chippendale series a little bit, which I guess, to be honest, Chippendale may have got it from them since Scooby-Doo's been out since the 60s, the title cards.
Are you referring to the animated Chippendale back in the 80s or the live-action movie from this year?
Probably the 80s, and then the live-action movie, they, obviously referenced what the 80s Chippendale gave us there. So, remember the reference, Case of the Missing Monty. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, with the different title cards?
Right, and I think that both of those, even the early 80s Chippendale, probably got it from the 60s Scooby Doo. You know how after the theme song you get titled with that little music.
Oh yeah. I remember back in 60s cartoons, they used to have laugh tracks.
Yes, Scooby definitely had that going back then. Them and the Flintstones, don't forget that.
And possibly Fat Albert, since Fat Albert is the 70s.
I think you're right on that one. Yeah, I think I do remember him having one.
and especially when he's like, hey, hey. and people start to laugh.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing, apparently in both cartoons and live action. That laugh track really got popular.
Too bad they stopped doing them in cartoons. I think they stopped putting laugh tracks in cartoons like in the 80s and beyond.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, times change. That sort of like how the adaptations of these shows are with this movie, for example. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of changes there.
And nowadays, laugh tracks are dead.
Well, who knows, maybe one show might decide to bring them back like WandaVision did. But until that day comes, so after, of course, the title card, the Wow Toy Factory Mystery of the Looney Ghosts, we get the typical Scooby Doo case scene where like when they usually be ready to wrap the case up. Matter of fact, that alternate opening was more sort of a lead into the case if we had got it. So this would be the conclusion to it, where they've, got the trap set and everything. And of course, discussing the plan. Yours truly, Filma, behind that. And one thing I gotta say about Fred in this scene, he's definitely it's almost like whoever wrote his character for the movie must have not only watched the Scooby Doo episode, but also must have watched that Johnny Bravo crossover.
It's like seeing a live action Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Because he's full of himself and he's obsessed with looking at himself in the mirror, as well as seeing pictures of his face all the time.
Exactly, yeah, especially in his crossover with Scooby Doo, he was all posing in the Mystery Machine and everything, and when they ran by every mirror. Now, hold on, everybody.
It'll be too easy if he was a ladies' man.
He technically is. He pretty much was inspired by Elvis when they made his character. So apparently now that inspiration has gone into this live action Fred a little bit there. Not a whole lot, but the part of him looking in the mirror.
If Elvis was blonde.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So, but at least that is somewhat of a reference to something back from the old days, though.
In my opinion, for Pete, in case they did keep the opening and the original opening with the animated characters, some people, if they did keep it in the movie, some people might think that they looking at the animated Scooby Doo movie until they get to the live action scene.
Possibly possibly maybe like they might think it's a new updated series, because Scooby Doo's had like tons of different series that they've gone through before now. Oh boy, even before a pup named Scooby Doo. So yeah, they probably would blend in with all the other Scooby openings. And another thing I gotta say that I kind of think is a little cool, and yeah, you're probably gonna call me a nerd for this. The headsets that they have in their head is pretty much early 2000 version of the Avengers. You know how and I say early 2000 because now it's more earpiece like there, especially in Civil War when they were talking to each other.
I'll say more advanced.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, we are getting close to the future.
And they have to be advanced because there were some people that asked how are they not crossing frequencies, Team Cap and Team Iron Man. Well, I guess you could say that this movie was foreshadowing that.
They all say the world has to evolve.
Pretty much, yeah.
In order to make things better, as well as our lives better.
Just like Star Trek and Batman. and of course, another thing I gotta say, just like how the gang is all, in their, dressed just like how they are in the show and even look like the show, especially Matthew Lillard. Oh yeah. Yeah, Matthew Lillard is definitely your number one Shaggy there, starting at this point.
Like Zoinks?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, fun fact, you know how he prepared for this role?
How?
He actually made himself hoarse on purpose. He yelled in the car till he sounded like this. Zoinks. So now when he did his part as Shaggy, that actually was his speaking voice then.
Wow.
Shows how dedicated he was, like Eartha Kitt to Yzma.
Or Jim Carrey to the Grinch.
Oh yeah, the Grinch and don't forget the mask.
Yes.
But I guess more the Grinch probably, because I'm not saying he wasn't dedicated to the mask, but yeah, that Grinch was a completely opposite character from the mask. But yeah, that is sort of like Jack Black turned into R.L. Stine.
It makes you wonder which character that Jim Carrey liked to play the best, the mask or the Grinch?
guess I would make some guesses, but he would only know the true answer, though. Although, he might be a little undecided there. So, like, when people ask Jason David Frank which Ranger did he like the best, the Dragon Sword or the Tiger Sword?
I know he was a lot younger when he did the mask.
Smoking! Yep. Much like this movie right now. It is, as I mentioned before, the appearances are definitely spot on, and even Scooby Doo. Yeah, and yeah, I know Nostalgia Critic pointed out that he looked like Marmaduke, but don't really see a problem with that there. Yeah, it was. I could definitely look at him and say, yeah, that's Scooby.
I think they tried to do a movie about Marmaduke, a live-action movie.
Do you think it came out before or after this movie?
I think it's after.
Okay, now, I was about to say, if it came out before, then they may have got his design for Scooby, but, like I say, then again, Marmaduke and Scooby probably just look similar.
Imagine you see them together in person, like having lunch together.
That would be an interesting little crossover, much like when Marmaduke crossed over with Garfield one time. Yeah. And this also, as well together as this movie is, and also the way people really enjoyed this movie, because obviously they did get a sequel. Really, as Gabe pointed out, can't see why Back in Action Looney Tunes had to make fun of it there. I'm just saying from their point of view, since Warner Brothers, if this was a big money hit for Warner Brothers, you'd think Warner Brothers would want to praise their own movies that are big hits, Yeah, they had all of that scene. Like, what was that, man? You had me sound like a total space cadet. If you like Goof on Me in the sequel, I'm coming after you. Yeah, and I'll give you a Scooby snack.
And Scooby's just growled at him.
Yeah,
he gonna bite him?
That was a really, it is a little humorous, but it was kind of odd that Warner Brothers would put that in there. Yeah, just, from what I would think that they would think of their movies.
So they making fun of their own work?
Yeah, it seemed like they would make fun of something that didn't make a big hit. Just saying, that's usually how a lot of times they do that kind of thing. But, or at least if someone was going to make fun of their big hit, it would be someone outside of Warner Brothers. But, never know in Hollywood sometimes. So, of course, after a bunch of hijinks and, of course, skateboarding from Shaggy and Scooby, like Tony Hawk style, and a cowabunga, the ghost is caught. And then, of course, Mystery Inc. by this, apparently they've been doing this for a while at the time that this movie is taking place, because they have a fan club and everything, and let's just say Fred giving out autographs is making me think of Zac Efron right now, like an early version of him before High School Musical.
And we see a woman that looked like a Barbie doll, a real life Barbie doll.
And apparently the Lunar Ghost was actually a creepy janitor that his reason for doing all this, he wasn't trying to get some priceless artifact that no one knew about, like, in most of the Scooby episodes, or a whole lot of cash or gold or something like that. He did it because you wouldn't go out on a date with me. I was the equivalent of George Clooney. Okay.
He's doing this just to get a date?
My goodness, John has problems getting a date, but he doesn't dress up like a ghost. Well, at least to do this. Yeah, that's kind of a bit of a stretch there, buddy, just to get a date with somebody.
He could have just been himself, just be himself.
But of course, you gotta get a laugh out of the creepy old janitor. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids and that dumb dog. I'll get you, Scooby Doo. And at least him saying "I'll get you" in that voice sounded better than the claw in the live-action Inspector Gadget movie. So, of course, after everything's over, the gang is not very happy with each other. Now, I will admit personally, yes, I wasn't too fond of this idea. And I do kind of like Zombie Island's take on it more, where they're, where they just parted ways to do different careers and they were glad to see each other. However, looking back on it, yeah, okay, so you want to do something different. Okay, that's a fine idea. But as we go through the review, I will point out some better ways that, it just could have been better, if they want to go this route. Just saying, everybody's got a different vision there.
We noticed that we see Fred talking all the credit, and Velma just took it personal. So personal that she felt like she wanted to cry.
Makes me wonder if
and forced herself to say, I quit.
Yeah, and also there was some other things added to that that was pretty much the cake that made her quit, but they added some more icing to that with a bit more bickering where Daphne was tired of being the damsel in distress, and of course out of Velma's anger she said, oh please, you should come with your own ransom note. And yeah, then they started kind of picking at each other out of cruelty with the glasses, Bill. Yeah, and Velma, unlike the cartoon where, she just like, can't find my glasses. Oh boy, she was ready. She was like, I'm gonna kill you, Daphne! Almost
she wanna pounce her.
And was choking Fred because she couldn't see Daphne clearly. Like, whoa, watch the ascot! Yeah, and even though, and Matthew Lillard, bless your heart, he really tried to get these people back together at the, but they just weren't having it there, and the three of them quit. Do I quit? No, Scoop. Friends don't quit.
Yeah, that famous quote, friends don't quit. Same goes with family. Family don't quit.
Yep, and rewatching this, I think, especially after, all the talk of Matthew Lillard and everything, after rewatching this, I literally, this is my personal opinion, but I actually think that when him and Scooby drove off in the Mystery Machine and they said cut, he probably was crying for real in that Mystery Machine. I don't think that was even him as the character Shaggy. I think he was actually upset. That was just Matthew Lillard upset.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Yeah, and then the studio probably had to take a while to comfort him before prepping for the next scene. Yeah. Yeah, probably even had to show him the script again to remind him of what was going to happen, But I tell you, but I give you your props there, Matthew. You did a really good job with this. You are Shaggy.
I'll give him paws up for that.
Oh, indeed.
If I was human, he'll get thumbs up.
Oh yeah. The paws in our case there. So, of course, after it says 2 years later, so apparently we know at the beginning of the movie I'm just going to assume they were probably in senior year. It's probably their final year in high school, since they said, you meddling kids.
I imagine it was 5 or 10 years later.
Oh, that would be Infinity War and Endgame.
5 or 10 years later, you'll see them as adults.
Oh boy.
And they might have families.
Well, they've become young adults in these couple of years. I'm assuming 19 or 20. Especially since what they say later when they get to their next destination. So Scooby and Shaggy get a call to solve a mystery on Spooky Island. You get Spooky Island. And apparently they find out that Fred, Velma, and Daphne were called, which brings them back together. They're not too thrilled about it, but they kind of go along with it since, they got the call.
Plus they got free stuff.
Oh yeah, especially the food in Shaggy and Scooby's case. Yeah, because well, you'll definitely be paid. Oh no, we're not interested. Free room and board, free buffet. Free buffet.
What's next? Free money?
Well, the money was actually the first offer. But yeah, that food is what got them though.
I prefer a shopping spree.
I guess that's probably what they offered Daphne. So, oh yeah, they all get to the airport and, I guess this is for humor. Scooby pops up dressed as Grandma with the song She's a Brick House playing, which, after I actually looked up the soundtrack for this movie, Little Romeo performs Brick House for this movie.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Neither did I. Yeah, they actually gave him a part for the movie to do. So yeah, he gave us the brick, Little Romy Roam Roam.
When Scooby stands on two legs, he's taller, like 6 feet something, 6 or 7 feet when he stands on two legs.
Maybe this. Oh boy, I guess he was a premonition from Medea. Hello. Although, and I know it's for humor, but this is just a little personal suggestion of mine. If I were writing the movie, I would have probably had Scooby dressed up as Grandpa, because then if he put on a fake beard, it could cover up his snout a lot better. Yeah, yeah, but they did what they did, and honestly, I don't even really see why they needed this guy other than the humor part. But yeah, if they were all invited, as they are, wouldn't they know that Scooby's coming? So, how about they wouldn't let big dogs on the plane, but you know Scooby's coming. You invited him and Shaggy. Oh well, movie's got a movie. So, yeah, they oh, and and also a little note to James Gunn. You should consider yourself lucky that this was back in 2002 with Scooby Doo dressed like a grandma making a Medea reference, because this was kind of when Tyler Perry was starting his Medea stuff, but he wasn't, like out there. He was still doing the plays and everything. So yeah, if this had been years later, might have been a Tyler Perry versus James Gunn in court.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear. So yeah, you got it lucky. And one thing I gotta say, even though Shaggy and Scooby are comic relief and also pretty much your main characters along with the rest of the gang, yeah, it is really good that that a lot of emotion is put with them to really keep trying to bring this gang back together, because they do try again at the airport, and it almost reminds me of kids trying to get their parents back together.
Especially when they get close to divorce.
Yeah, especially the one scene when he did the "let's all put our hands together" sort of like Power Ranger style, and Fred was like, "People are watching." So
I guess he doesn't want to be embarrassed.
Well, guess we'll have to keep on trying, Shaggy. So, of course, Shaggy meets his love interest in this movie pretty early on the plane. Personally, I kind of wish that they would just put him and Belma together in this movie. There are other adaptations where Shaggy is with Belma, but it would have been nice to see that in this movie, being the first live action, but oh well. So anyway, there is a love interest for him, and apparently her name's Mary Jane, of course, sort of like Spider-Man's girlfriend.
Too bad it's not Spider-Man's girlfriend, Mary Jane. The Mary Jane we know from Spider-Man.
Well, I don't know how that would have went over with Peter Parker, though.
I know who'll be upset.
Yeah. Mary Jane, what? thought we had something together. What is this? Yeah, cause this was the same time that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was out. So, also she mentions that she likes Scooby snacks, even though there's for dogs there. Which I have a theory about how Scooby snacks are in the first place. I think Scooby got his name from the snacks. Yeah, I think the snacks came out before Scooby.
Oh.
Because there's an episode of Dexter's Laboratory where he pulls out a box of Scooby snacks. And so now they get to Spooky Island and the gang is welcomed by the host, Mr. Bean, which reminds me a lot of Christopher Walken. Sort of the way he behaves, when playing a character. It's kind of interesting that they didn't get Christopher Walken since they didn't get Tim Curry. And he explains what's going on the island, that the college students are coming and leaving, and when they're leaving, they seem like they're possessed. To the point where there was the scene where this one girl sees her old college buddy come up to her and throws him, saying, "Get off my grill, son!"
I'm mad at seeing kids being possessed at Disney World or Disneyland.
That would probably mean that something's up with Mickey over in that universe.
And the kids would be able to lift their parents and throw them.
Oh boy, yeah, we would definitely, yeah. We need to find out what's going on with Mickey that's making the kids do that there.
Not only that, they would also rebel and disobey their parents.
Guess it'd be like Disney World turned into Pleasure Island. But worse. So once they've gotten the intel on what's going on, they split up and investigate. And during the split up, Scooby gets a phone call. And funny joke, they say, "I got a call for Mr. Doo." Melvin Doo? No, Scooby Doo. Yeah, that joke's gonna come back around later. Oh, hold on a second, everybody. Okay, sorry about that little interruption there, but now, as we were saying about the Doos, yeah, that joke is going to come back around, Melvin and Scooby-Doo. Anyway, the call is about some hamburgers, and Scooby has to come out in the woods to come get them.
Do they also have pizza? I could go for the pizza.
Sadly, they did not there.
Aww.
Yeah. However, even if it was, that would still be kind of suspicious, coming out in the dark woods to get something like that, sort of gives a stranger danger vibe.
What's next, backup candy?
Yeah, that's definitely a stranger danger vibe there.
Especially kids trying to get it.
Yeah, oh boy. So, yeah, nothing suspicious about that though. However, it's not as suspicious as the guy that Daphne finds trying to sacrifice a chicken for a voodoo ritual. Yeah, not to mention this guy looks like a cross between Corey Coleman, and don't worry, he already knows about that. People have told him.
I hate to tell you this, sir, but that chicken's already dead. Do you want to get a living sacrifice like a live chicken?
Or how about better than that, since this isn't the Old Testament, where we don't have to do that no more, you could go on and cook the chicken. Yeah, go on and cook the chicken, get you something to eat.
If it was me, I'd rather just cook the chicken and just give it to the homeless. Give it to the homeless people to eat. Or the needy children.
Well, at least that'd be better than what this guy's doing. And, yeah, also, not just Corey Coleman, but like a cross between Corey Coleman and the SPD Red Ranger.
If you put those two in the blender, you get him.
Pretty much, and also throwing a dash of crazy voodoo-ness.
Who?
Yeah.
Why not just sacrifice a turkey?
I hope not. There, I prefer the turkeys for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah, that's gonna be next month. So, Daphne's little lead leads her to Spooky Castle, of course. Obvious, since we're on Spooky Island. And meanwhile, Scooby's gives thanks for the burgers when he finds out, well, at least what he thinks are the burgers. Yeah, Scooby, I can tell you right now, God is not going to just leave a bag of burgers lying around in the woods like that.
If he was in Japan, he would say, "Ikitakimasu."
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he would. Yeah, it doesn't work like that, Scooby. But apparently this leads him to finding one of the monsters that we're going to run into much later. And when Scooby manages to escape from him and runs into Shaggy, oh yeah, there's a brief moment where there's this creepy rabbit that has a face that looks like a plug outlet.
Ouch.
Yeah, that is scary.
I rather see the marshmallow guy with the 2 X's on his eyes for some reason. And he's popular. They call him Marshmallow. He's a rapper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, first I thought you was talking about the marshmallow from Ghostbusters for a second.
No, he has a marshmallow mask.
Oh, I see. Oh. Okay. I guess that would look a little better than this guy. So, after all of that, apparently, Daphne comes up to get some help from Shaggy and Scooby, offering them Scooby snacks, of course. You know, they gotta do that at some point. Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
I think they do sell Scooby snacks for real. I know it would taste like cinnamon.
Oh, you think so?
Cinnamon graham crackers?
Oh, yeah, that's right, because they do have that there. Actually, that actually doesn't, yeah, but, yeah, they actually did market that.
They should make Scooby snacks for also dogs, too. Dogs might like it, too.
I know.
Use a different ingredients.
Yeah, obviously they would there, because, you know, sugar and stuff like that wouldn't quite mix well with dogs there. or any of the animals, you know. So, of course, once they go to investigate, Fred and Velma show up, and despite them still having a little bit of a tiff with each other, they decide to split up for clues. And you know, Fred, he's got to give the orders there. He's like, okay, so me and Daphne, well, typical. What? yeah, Fred, Velma's not too liking of this. Yeah, the usual plan. And trust me, this kind of reminds me of Cyber Chase when he said, okay, gang, let's split up. And Shaggy and Scooby just walk off. Hey, I didn't say how we were going to split up. Like, do we ever do it any other way?
He does got a point.
Apparently, Shaggy would be great at Cinema Sins. Ding! So, yeah, so they do a different split up by having Daphne go by herself, Fred and Velma, and of course Shaggy and Scooby as usual, and do whatever it is they do. Sort of like Captain America telling the Hulk to smash. Yep. So, oh, and also, did you notice Fred's hair looks kind of similar to Lincoln Loud?
Except it's blonde instead of gray.
Oh yeah, but it almost kind of gives off a white coloring a little bit there.
Oh, I've noticed that.
Yeah, especially since, you know, they got this live action Loud House coming out. Yeah. So after them all searching for some clues, Daphne finding an ancient relic, and Fred and Velma discovering that this whole thing is a cult. There's a cult behind this thing. Shaggy and Scooby, of course, do some belching and farting.
And to see who farts the loudest.
Yeah, and let's just say Daphne walked in at the wrong time.
And she just say, "We're here to solve a mystery."
If she was one of Gabe's co-workers that used to work with him, probably be like, "Ew, Gabe, why you fought on me?" It's just funny the way he said that there. Yeah.
If I was in Daphne's position, I would be disgusted and just yell at her and yell loudly, "We're here to solve a mystery. We don't have time for this foolishness."
Well, that would be definitely understandable. I'd be pretty angry too.
Typical, just typical.
Don't get me started when you go to the public restroom and walk in on somebody doing number 2. Ah, that stinks.
You could just die in there.
Pretty much, yeah. So, just like Shaggy has a love interest while everybody's, doing further investigation, we get a look into Vilma's love interest here, who really likes her sweater.
He looks like a cool guy. He's not a nerd. He's cool.
Which goes to show you that different love relationships don't always have to be the typical expectation,
That's it?
Yep, you can have cases of a jock and a nerd, High School Musical proved that too. So, apparently as she's talking with Mr. Love Interest in this movie, it leads them to her having a flashback about the old days of Mysteries Inc. And we also see Scrappy Dappy Doo. And remember how earlier the gang was mad with each other at the beginning of the movie and everything? Well, apparently I guess this is where Scrappy broke loose from him. Now, let me explain something about this. Scrappy leaving them like the way they all split up in the movie, okay, it does fit the tone of the movie, but it's the way they do it that's kind of offsetting and what it leads to. Yeah, we have to mention this. There's Scrappy's doing this puppy power thing, and I guess he doesn't realize it, but he's peeing on Daphne.
Ew.
And then when they acknowledge when Daphne says something about it to bring it to Scrappy's attention, he reacts, ew.
It's like, what's wrong with him?
Scrappy, if that really was an accident as you claim, why in the world were you enjoying that?
If it was me, I wouldn't enjoy that. I just needed help.
Yeah, and then it leads to him talking about wanting to be the leader of the gang, sort of like Dinobot wanted to be leader of the Maximals in Beast Wars. And when of course they don't agree with that, instead of, okay, now if they had took him to like a rest stop or something, or maybe back to his mother, Scooby's sister, and did like that, I could see that, like, hey, you're no longer going to be solving mysteries with us. Okay, it's kind of mean, but at least it would be a lot better than leaving him on the side of the road. Yeah.
Well, when people be mistreated like this, they are more likely to have a different side of person that you don't really even know. Like a bad side.
Yeah, I suppose, but it just, I don't know. I mean, even with Scrappy, because they actually did something like this in Cartoon Network outside of the show, where Scrappy was having some issues and was mad with some of the other Cartoon Network stars. But it never would lead to what we're about to see at the end of this movie. Yeah, I mean, but anyway, also now after of course the trip down memory lane, the monsters attack and capture Fred and Velma, and Scooby manages to help Daphne and Shaggy, and of course Shaggy's love interest, to get Mary Jane escape. And one of the things I got to nitpick in this scene is, notice when they're running from the monster, there are a lot of doors. Guess what's missing from this?
What's missing?
The typical run in and out of doors trope that would be in the cartoon?
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't... That would have been interesting to see how that would look in live action. And they have the setup there.
Would have been nice, but we didn't get a chance to see it.
Even though they had the setup, they just missed out on an opportunity there.
It's like so much for that.
Of course, then the next morning, though, after yeah, there is a scene they try to call for some help from outside the island. The next morning, everything seems like it's normal until Shaggy and Scooby discover Fred and some of the other people are possessed.
What?
Yeah. And Daphne ends up getting captured during Scooby and Shaggy's escape. They're unaware of this, of course. And then Scooby, during the escape, discovers that Mary Jane is possessed, but Shaggy doesn't notice it. Yeah, this leads to him and Shaggy having a fight there. Like, Reggie, you're whipped. Oh, I whipped? Let's see who's whipped now. Yeah, and then the fight, yeah, Scooby ends up falling into a trap door. And of course, Shaggy does feel bad about this and goes after him. But his search for Scooby leads to him finding the souls of Velma, Daphne, and Fred. So, in other words, the monsters that's possessing their bodies, I guess they had to extract the souls in order for this to work.
Let's say all the souls in that pool look kind of weird.
Sort of like something out of Ghostbusters.
Too bad those souls don't have bodies.
Yeah,
just heads.
At least in this version, anyway. Maybe if they was in Casper's universe, they would
have whole bodies.
Something like that. And so they return the souls to the bodies, but there is a slight error.
What's the error?
Fred and Daphne end up in each other's bodies.
Oh dear.
And of course we get this line. Hey, I can look at myself naked.
Oh, brother.
Really, Fred? And let's just say when Gabe went to see this movie with his mom, yeah, his mom rolled her eyes really big at that line. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So, and also duly note, we didn't mention earlier, which some of you probably know this, the actors for Fred and Daphne are actually a married couple in real life.
It would surprise me if they are still married today.
Hopefully.
If they are, depending on how many years they got married, I know it will be a long time. A really long time.
And I think there's even word that they might have a kid or two.
I guess 2. I'm just going by assumption they might have 2 kids.
Possibly. However, Shaggy does find the artifact, which is called the Damon-ritis, and everybody gets back in their right body. And of course, they have to put some more humor in the body swap, so there is a moment where Shaggy ends up in Daphne's body. Like, man, Daphne, don't you ever eat?
I do eat, but not too much.
Yeah, and I thought this too. A lot of you probably think this, and I did too. A lot of people think that this is like, shaming people that are skinny or anorexic, sort of like how there's fat shaming. But I don't think Shaggy was making a joke about her body size. I think what happened is when he was in Daphne's body, Daphne, you know how some people, when they're on a diet, they will try to eat really less to the point where they're starving sometimes?
Yes.
I think Daphne may have been in the middle of doing something like that, where she was purposely trying not to eat a lot and she probably was ignoring her hunger pains. So when Shaggy entered her body, he felt it instantly and reacted.
I think back in the early 2000 era, people are not appreciative of their own bodies, that they just want to change. Yeah,
and you still got that going on today. There was one of Gabe's employees, not going to say the name, she was a slender person, kind of had a little bit on her, but she just the right weight. But for some reason, she would ask people if they thought she looked fat, and I was like, she looks the way she's supposed to look. She's healthy.
Well, there are most girls who feel this way, especially girls who are skinny.
Yeah, Harry, I guess that's where the term of body dysmorphia has come from. So apparently, I'm just guessing. A lot of people, when they bring, last I heard of this term, people associated this with people that are plus size, but it could also apply to slender people as well.
Don't get me started with people who think they are unattractive, that they just want to change their face by going under the knife, which is plastic surgery.
Yeah, there is that there. Yeah. Just a message to any of y'all that are like this. You know, you gotta appreciate your body. You gotta appreciate your body for what it is. There, the most important thing is to keep yourself in good health and appreciate who you are. You know,
and mainly just be yourself.
Exactly. Whether you're skinny, medium, big, whatever, as Night Professor say, we're supposed to have all of that. You know.
Love yourself before you love others.
Exactly.
And appreciate what you have.
Because you have to. That's the most important thing, is to appreciate yourself. Because one thing about it, if you don't, it's gonna make life really hard. You know.
Especially for the next generation.
Yes. So that's the one thing that you gotta do for yourself there. And if it is hard for you to do, well, you know, we're all placed on this earth to help one another. If you guys are, know somebody who's going through that, and it's hard for them to accept themselves, then dive in and help them out. Just like we just did in this video.
And if there's something that you don't like about yourself, it's not too late to just change about what you don't like about yourself. Just change it in a positive way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, of course, after all the body switching and humor and everything, they realize that Mr. Bean is the culprit, and that he's captured Scooby, of course. So, Shaggy's finally able to get them to come together sincerely, wholeheartedly, to rescue their pal Scooby.
I think they have Scooby on their mind when they did that. Because they cherish Scooby.
Yep. So kudos to both Shaggy and Scooby for being able to pull this off. and not only come back together to save their pal Scooby, but also the entire island from having these monster things in people's body rule the earth for 10,000 years.
It's funny when Scooby saying, "Oh, a sacrifice," and being happy about it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess no one ever told Scooby what that word meant, or maybe he never heard it there.
If they told me that, how would you like to be a sacrifice? I would just run. I'm gone.
Yeah, oh boy. Now making me think of Isaac with Abraham, except that was a different scenario there. So the gang, does just like they did in the first part of the movie at the beginning, get all their traps set up and everything, and well, they get ready, and of course you hear the people chanting, the monsters in the body, doing this, ah ga boo ba ba, ah ga boo ba boo ba ba.
Plus they're all dancing. The people who are possessed are also dancing.
Yeah, it sort of makes me imagine if someone took this scene on YouTube and dubbed it with with that thing Michael Jackson says, "I want to be starting something." Like, I'ma say, I'ma say, I'ma say,
What's next? People do the Thriller?
Oh, that would be too easy. Way too easy for this movie. This movie and any other movie involving monsters.
People doing the Thriller?
Yeah, remember DuckTales did a reference to that with the mummies. So, Shaggy apologizes for the fight with Scooby there, but before he's able to get to rescue Scooby, Mr. Bean takes Scooby's soul. And he starts absorbing all the other souls, sort of like Megatron would do with the Sparks and Beast machines. But Shaggy manages to save Scooby's soul and stop the soul transfer that Mr. Bean's doing, and this makes it where not only is Mr. Bean behind all this, but he's actually a robot.
What?
And he's operated by Scooby-Doo!
I think that's when the audience booed.
Yeah.
When they saw the movie, they must have booed at Scrappy being the villain.
According to what Gabe said, I don't think anybody actually did, because now there are people that do like Scrappy, but sad to say that there are people that really hate this guy. Even though Scrappy was actually what saved Scooby in their 10-year anniversary. Yeah, after the 10th year anniversary when Scrappy was introduced, and that really saved Scooby's ratings. And the 20th anniversary was when we got a pup named Scooby Doo. That's further saved the franchise.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really sad that people are unappreciative of him. And matter of fact, James Gunn hates him.
James Gunn hates Scrappy?
That's why he did this.
Not only that, but Tim Curry also hated Scrappy because originally Tim Curry's supposed to be in the movie, but he dropped out because after they mentioned that Scrappy's going to be in there. So he said, screw this, I'm leaving.
Yeah, and rather than just make this actor play Mr. Bean be the full bad guy, matter of fact, really, if you really want to go further in the research, despite James Gunn's hate for Scrappy and making him the villain, originally, there were two options for the villain that wasn't going to be Scrappy at first. It was either going to be Tim Curry or the guy in the Lunar Ghost costume. But they didn't come through with either one of those.
Oh.
Yeah, so we ended up getting this other actor and then Scrappy being behind them. Apparently, because they kicked him out and made him upset, unlike the gang, he decided to become evil.
If that was me in Scrappy's position, I would be upset and I'll be a different person.
Yeah, but yeah, this is kind of a bit far here. And with the power he has absorbed from the soul, he starts turning into a possessed version of Pumbaa from the Lion King. Hey, Timon! I'm gonna steal your soul! Hold on, not in front of the kids. Yeah.
Can I just enjoy my soul one last time?
Oh my goodness, now you just reminded me of Patrick and SpongeBob when Mr. Krabs said, "You know what I'm gonna do now?" You mean cut our butts off? Can I use mine one last time?
But this case, they're souls.
Yeah. Well, let's just say, oh yeah, and that Melvin joke comes back around when he says, "All I need is one more soul, Scooby Dooby Doo." Oi, don't you mean Melvin Doo? Yeah, they just pan over to Melvin, who I guess he's probably possessed too, because he's just standing there soulless. Or maybe he had his soul taken. Well, actually, okay, a lot of them did. But anyway. So yeah, everybody faces Scrappy, and Daphne tries to get the vents open in order to bring the sunlight in, and, you know, as well as them exposing the creatures once the souls are back. But she ends up getting into a fight with this masked wrestler.
And she fights back. Almost remind me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Only thing missing is the theme song. And of course, they do a callback to the damsel in distress thing they mentioned, where she says, "Who's the damsel in distress now?" Me? Darn straight.
Imagine in another universe if Daphne was blonde. In another universe.
It's possible. She probably would look similar to Sharpay from High School Musical.
And Fred with maybe red hair or brown hair.
That would kind of make him look similar to maybe a cool version of Bob from Zack and Cody.
Or Shaggy with red hair and Velma maybe with, I would say, blonde hair or either red hair.
Well, I'd have to see how that looked there to make it to make an opinion on that. I have to actually see that there.
Or if all the Scooby characters are black.
Funny you should mention that. There is a thing of where a writer, I can't think of her name, but she's trying to do a diverse Scooby gang where they have a black Shaggy, an Asian Daphne, and Fred is still white, and I'm trying to think what nationality they made Bill. I think she was Indian or something like that.
Hindu?
Yeah, or Hindu, yeah. Yep, and there was also something else that they put in Bilma, but I don't want to mention it here. I don't want to encourage it. But, yeah, but there was one problem with that.
What was it?
A diverse Scooby gang doesn't bother me, and if they still act like, the original Scooby gang and stuff, but they don't have Scooby.
Scooby's not there?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the Scooby gang is to have Scooby.
If you can't get Scooby, why don't you just get some other dog like a poodle, a chihuahua, a golden retriever?
Yeah, but that's the point. You gotta have Scooby to make it the Scooby gang.
Heck, why not get a Rottweiler or a pit bull?
Well, that would give Scooby a tough look, but yeah. Yeah. Just weird there. Just kind of weird. However, after all this is done and the monsters are destroyed, Scrappy's back to, kind of normal. Well, everybody's soul is back in place. Scrappy's then arrested and they find the real Mr. Bean, who looks like a caveman underground because he says Scrappy locked him in there.
It would surprise me if you locked them in there for so many years.
Oh my goodness.
Like maybe 10,000.
And then and let me guess, he would come out of there saying, after 10,000 years I'm free! What's he gonna do, conquer Earth too?
I think when they come out of the cave and see the outside for the very first time after being in the cave for so long, they usually have their faces covered like this. The light! I
can't stand the light!
The light!
Or do like Zach did in Zack and Cody when he was playing video games too long, and his mom opened the blinds. Yes!
Don't get me started if he ran out. If he ran out of the room.
Or scurried like a roach.
Yeah.
Yikes! Sorry about that there. They pardon the expression. So, anyway, after that's all wrapped up, and of course, the whole gang is credited as well as Velma.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, Fred does is considerate of that.
Looks like he learned from his mistake.
Yes, he does. And of course, the whole gang celebrates.
I noticed they put Shaggy in a pet carrier.
You mean Scrappy?
I mean, not Shaggy. I mean, Scrappy in a pet carrier.
Yeah, Velma explained that he was corrupted by the Damon Riders. There's, I guess off screen, maybe when Scrappy was angry with the Scooby Gang doing what they did, he must have maybe ran across the relic and it corrupted his mind, and that's what led to his way of thinking.
Well, sometimes evil power can't consume a person when their mind's in a weak state.
Yeah, I guess if you think of it that way, maybe that makes a little more sense. I personally, now this is just me. I still don't agree with evil Scrappy thing, but I guess if you go with that theory, it can make a little sense why he would do it there. But you think it would be nice if maybe a little later, if maybe like in the sequel movie, which I will give credit, they seem like the sequel almost feels like an apology for the first movie almost there. Well, some of the mistakes that were in it. But it would have been nice if they maybe had some little small scene of maybe Scrappy getting better or something like that. Sort of like a person coming out of rehab or something like that. Yeah, like, the corruption's kind of lifting from his mind or something like that. Or maybe, him just, like, hey, I know we were all mad at each other, but, it's, we, kind of working through stuff there.
Well, rehab as well as therapy and making amends.
Yeah, at least a little small scene of that. Not necessarily you have to be a big part, even if it was in a post-credit scene of the sequel.
There are times making amends is not easy for people, but it's best to try.
Yeah.
Even if they don't forgive you.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, that is, isn't it? Yeah,
if they don't forgive you, just leave them be.
Yep, but you do have to, at least do your part there. Yeah. So, of course, during that celebration of the Scooby Gang, Shaggy and Scooby kind of do a reference to Zombie Island by eating peppers.
A pepper eating contest?
Yep. Definite reference to Zombie Island, and also an early Garfield comic where John and Garfield were doing that there. So, with that, the movie ends there. And, well, I gotta say, I still hold by what I say about, not being too fond of Evil Scrappy. But as for the rest of the movie, it's not really as bad as, as I made it to be the first time I talked about it. And yeah, and I know Gabe explained that, yeah, he was really upset about, but it was mostly because of the Evil Scrappy. We actually were trying to enjoy the rest of the movie. And yeah, looking back on it, we actually still can enjoy the rest of the movie. And, if you're curious about it, you definitely, check it out and see what you think about it there. If just kind of overlook the Evil Scrappy part and just see what you think about the rest of the movie, What do you think, Emily?
Overall, it's good despite the Evil Scrappy. Let's just say all the actors are spot on, especially Matthew Lillard. He got that Scrappy, that's not Scrappy, that Shaggy down pat. It's like he is Shaggy, both in the movie and maybe outside of the movie.
Oh yeah, I definitely believe that there, especially the way people talked about him at GeekCon. Yeah, cause he's a real nice guy too. Cause
he's also friendly, especially when he also took himself a break in order to get a snack and he greeted everybody in line. Yeah,
he didn't try to avoid the people or anything. He just like, hey, I'll be right back. He gave him high fives as he walked by. Yeah, real cool dude,
And none of the fans weren't angry at him for him taking a break.
It just goes to show you, when you be nice, people you show niceness and get niceness.
Yeah, and I think the actors who play Fred and Dabney, they also have a romantic chemistry. Feel like the romantic chemistry is real, even though you mentioned that they're a couple in real life.
I think that was actually why they casted them too, because of the fact because I don't know if it was James Gunn's idea or someone on the set, but they actually when they got to the characters of Fred and Daphne, they actually they wanted to make the chemistry as real as possible, so that's why they casted them.
Oh. Maybe it would surprise me if they asked to be in the movie as a couple. They ask, and they say yes.
Possible. Maybe that's what gave them the idea.
And I like the character who played Velma too. Especially the way her emotions are. They're real.
Oh yes, Velma's definitely
kind of remind me of Queen Tina with her emotions.
Aww. Well, Tina is kind of like Velma in ways there.
To me, I see her more like Daphne.
Well, yeah, I could see that as well. Nothing against that. But going with Gabe's, I guess you could say maybe she has a little bit of both.
Maybe you could just put them in the blender and see what it's like.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would go with that there.
Put them in a blender?
Yeah, then her and Gabe probably dressed up like Shaggy and Velma. Although, since you did mention Daphne, there probably, it's just a theory, there might be some people that might have shipped Shaggy and Daphne together, and I'll tell you why. You remember when Scrappy came on the show?
Yeah.
Well, eventually they took Velma and Fred off of the show, and it was just Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby and Scrappy. And they carried over to Scooby Doo and the 13 Ghosts with an additional character, which was that little boy Flim Flam.
Yeah.
Don't ask why. But maybe because of this, people might have been shipping Shaggy and Daphne together because of that. And they might assume that Fred and Velma might have something off screen when they weren't on the show.
Huh.
You never know.
Heck, imagine fans decide to ship Fred and Velma together.
That's what I was saying. Maybe off screen. Yeah, because of that. Yeah, you probably got some people that may have thought that way. Yeah. Well, we did compare Fred to Troy Bolton, so I guess if that were the case, Velma would definitely be a Gabriella.
And Scooby's funny throughout the entire film. Scooby Doo.
Oh, yes.
Especially with his antics and hijinks.
Oh, Scooby always delivers the humor. Especially when he says stuff like, "Hey, that's me!"
And you could understand him.
Yep, definitely. That's old Scooby for ya.
Imagine people trying to have a conversation with Scooby Doo.
Possible. I know there's probably a lot of times of that throughout different shows and stuff, especially with him and Shaggy.
Or Scooby trying to cheer up a sad person.
Like a kid.
Yeah.
Sort of like the way Matthew Lillard did on a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Little girl was kind of, I don't know what she was upset about, but Matthew Lillard bent down to her and actually did his Shaggy voice to cheer her up there. Even gave her a picture.
I know that made her day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just go to show you how great of a person Matthew Lillard is there.
Not just him, but also other people in general.
Oh, yes. There's a big list of that there.
Yeah, and you cannot be sad forever.
Exactly, yeah, it's just like a rainy day. The sun's got to come out at some point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times people get angry and the anger doesn't last either.
Nope, just like that gospel song say, trouble don't last always.
But joy lasts forever.
Exactly.
We all need joy in our lives.
That's one way to bring it into the sadness when it comes, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. But was anything else there?
Yeah. Overall, this movie never disappoints.
Indeed, yeah. Except minus the scrappy stuff. The rest of the movie is definitely a lot of work was put into it. Yeah, you could, cause they even captured the cartoony effects of the show. Some people complain about the effects being bad and stuff, but really, I mean, the movie was just pretty much delivering what the cartoon gave us, and they did that. It was, I mean, the cartoony monsters, the stretchiness of them and stuff. It was pretty much the cartoon.
On a scale of 1 to 4, I'm giving this movie a 4 because if it wasn't for the evil Scrappy, I would give it a 5. But overall, I'm just giving it a 4 because of the special effects as well as the chemistry between the actors.
Oh, you said a 4 out of...
4 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
It's still good.
Okay, I'm just making sure I heard the number right.
4 means good, 5 means excellent.
Okay, I got you there.
And 3 means in between. Good and bad.
I think the first time of viewing this, and of course my first time reviewing, I probably went with like between 2 and 3. But yeah, I think re-looking at this, I would go with 4 like you there, Emily, because yeah, like I say, if you minus the scrappy thing, yeah, you do definitely every. I think that's just the only major error of the movie.
And 2 means needs improvement, and 1 means just bad.
Right, because like I say, yeah, it's true. It's not, yeah, it's a lot different from Zombie Island, but yeah, I do. But even with the direction they went with the movie, it still gave some good potential, and especially, and probably I could assume, because this movie is a longer running time than Zombie Island, so. Yeah, I could understand that you would change up your plot a bit because you gotta fit the running time.
Yeah. Same goes with other live action adaptations. You gotta have come up with something in order to get to the running time.
Yep.
At least it's not 2 hours or more.
Well, that's true. Of course, the thing more important than the running time is also a good movie.
Yes.
Because, you take like Justice League and Endgame, those were some really long movies, but they were good, though.
Yes, and people were able to stay awake from them.
Exactly.
Don't get me started with 10 Commandments. That was the first longest movie with the longest runtime.
Yeah, and with 10 Commandments and Zack Snyder Justice League, they do give you an intermission to take a little break, but yeah, it's definitely worth coming back to, though.
But with Endgame, there's no intermission.
No, but it's not quite as long as the other 2 movies, and again, it's a good film.
Yeah, it would have been nice if Endgame was the final Marvel film of the universe.
Yeah, but they got other things playing like the X-Men and all of that there. So, yep. My only thing is just make it good, MCU. That's all I'm asking for. Just make it good. Yeah, that's because a lot of people are talking about, oh, I don't like She-Hulk and this, but I'm like, okay, guys.
Not just good, but also enjoyable for fans.
Exactly. Let's just enjoy. If they give you good films, just try to enjoy them. Yeah, like I did with this movie that we just talked about. If I can enjoy the Scooby Doo movie despite its flaws, the MCU should be a piece of cake for you.
Not only that, but just don't spill like a bucket of milk. Don't make it. I know you're making it good, but don't spill a bucket of milk from one slight difference.
Oh yes, indeed, yes.
Just keep it the way it is. No
right.
changes.
Yes, don't mess. Yes, I know. There's one thing, every movie's gonna have its little nitpicks and errors, but don't mess up too much.
Just keep the originality.
Yeah. So
that's what people look for. It's just originality.
And Scooby delivered, and for a 4 out of 10, Scooby delivered it there.
Yes.
So, yep. Well, I think that's all I have to say on that.
Me too.
So, hope y'all like this video, as well as it also being the season 1 finale. Another. So, hope y'all enjoyed this, and you'll definitely be seeing Gabe and Tina back for the start of season 2. And like, share, subscribe, buy some of the available comic books, and support us on Patreon. That way we keep this going, and even if it's just $1 a month, and also you can give you access to those Patreon videos there. So do all that, and I guess Gabe and Tina will see you in the next video, and who knows, maybe we might come back one day. You never know.
See you later, everyone. Bye.
Take care.